bro, this is like our fourth take. So we're going to be back now. This is Michael and this is Steven. And I think this is our second episode in our podcast. I might have a slight accent if you can't understand me. Well, this is America, so read a book. Uh, with Steven, I don't know what we're going to talk about. Dude, Steven, it's been a long week. We took a long break between our second episode, but we're back. We're happy to serve the Dallas, Houston, Texas area, Metroplex, wherever you want to call it, Fort Worth, San Antonio. Well, we're talking sports. We have a lot to talk about. The Mavs, Luka. I think Luka has arrived, guys. We have baseball season. We have what's going on in the NFL. The Cowboys starts in 10 days. 10 days, opening days in 10 days. Steven, are you excited?
I'm very
Opening
excited.
days in 10 days. Are you excited for that?
I'm very excited.
Dude, I cannot wait. We need some normalcy back in life. Like, I need a Sunday where I could just sit down and say, I'm sorry. Okay. If my girlfriend ever hears that, she's gonna probably slap me in the fucking face. She'll be like, "What do you think you are?" So I need a Sunday where I could just tell my girlfriend, "Babe, I can't do nothing today." It's
Right.
football.
Right.
Like, we need that back in our life. I know a bunch of men are missing that right now. So
Right.
I'm excited. I'm hyped. But Grantham, take it away. What are we doing?
Yeah,
What are
let's
we talking
start
about
with the
today?
Mavs. Let's start with the Mavs. Because unfortunately, while this is the beginning of something great, this is gonna be our first published podcast. Unfortunately, it comes at the time of the ending of the Mavericks season. And before we put Dallas Mavericks 2019-2020 season in the morgue, we need to do an autopsy on the season. And I have America's #1 basketball pathologist here, Michael, to take it away. So, season, success, no. Future, super bright, very bright, godly bright. Which one?
Well, success is how you take it. We can all frame success. We live in Donald Trump's America, so we could call anything a success nowadays. But without political speech involved, let me tell you what happened. The Mavs actually found out that Luka was the truth. So we found out next Dirk. We also realized that Kristaps is going to tease us, but he needs stronger knees and stronger legs, God forbid. So we may need a number 2. And we also realized that the Mavs have no backbone. They have no enforcer. They have nobody who could step up and fight Marcus fucking Morris. And he just bullied Luka over and over again. And we just need an enforcer. We need somebody back there who could say, guess what, guys? This is not going to fly. But overall, I think the season has been a success. I think Rick Carlisle finally found his group of guys that he could actually take to the next level. And we could actually see him get back to being a better coach. God, the last couple of years were awful. So, but I really do think we have a chance going forward. I think our window is a lot more open because Luka is such a dynamic player. If you really think about it, like, go back and think about it, he's the top player in the league. You have the guy in Milwaukee, the Greek Freak, Giannis. You have, who else do you have after Giannis? You may have, Devin Booker from Phoenix. But after that is Luka.
It's Giannis and Luka. That's tier 1.
Yeah.
Top tier players. An interesting thing about that is that Giannis would be a Dallas Maverick if Mark Cuban didn't want to save $200,000 in salary cap room to try to sign Dwight Howard without a luxury tax. So in order to make up for that, our head international scout demanded that Cuban listen to him this time and get Luka. And because of that, we have a GOAT in training.
Jamaican. I think he already arrived. His game is so finesse-based that I think his game is going to age well. Like, I saw he's the truth. He reminds me of a more nimbler, more skiller, smaller version of Tim Duncan in terms of how they approach the game. There's not a lot of power involved. You know what I'm saying? They don't use a lot. Luka's not going to overpower you. They just, you may think they're slow, but they move fast enough. You may think they're not quick enough, but they get past you every time. You may think they're not going to hit the shot, but they hit the shot consistently when it matters. It reminds me of Tim Duncan, honestly, when it comes to just basic fundamental. he has high-level fundamental skills. So every fundamental skill that he has, he does it at a very high level. LeBron doesn't do that. Most American-based players don't have high-level fundamental skills.
Yeah, yeah.
He excels at that already at 21, mind you, 21 years old.
21, yeah. But he's in basketball years and basketball experience, it's so much more because he has spent almost his whole life in an academy developing, like you said, those fundamentals, those skills. And so upstairs, up here, it's like he's got Jason Kidd's mind. But I really
Yes.
like what you said about him being more of a finesse player because in my this second year, but first like no, second year with Luka, first year of watching almost all of the games, is that he seemed not necessarily just a finesse player, but he seems like a very strong, like relying on strength a lot. He goes into the paint. According to advanced statistics, it's more so than any player in the league. And one of the problems that we had this year was that he wasn't getting calls. He was getting treated like a second year player instead of like a superstar player. And before the COVID breakdown, you could kind of see him wearing down a bit physically by getting his ass kicked on the court a lot. Like when Draymond Green and Golden State, he didn't punch him, but he got a really hard foul. There was that Indiana game where Luka basically got punched in the face without a foul. So to me, it seems like his game is very physical. To you, it seems like it's finesse. Maybe it's both, and if so, goat in training. Love it.
Yeah. But I do think he doesn't. When I say finesse, I mean Luka. He imposes his will on the opponent and certain times on lesser players. But when it comes to players like Kawhi, and this may be taken the wrong way because this dude was just magical in the series. But like you could tell, Kawhi is not a finesse player. You could just see it when he goes after, and when Luka goes after people, they're not like, oh my God, Luka's coming down the lane. They're more waiting for that power, but he uses a little shiftiness. He uses a step back move. He's in the paint, but he's taking the beating, but he's not punishing people.
Yeah.
And that's the difference. And that's what I'm saying. He's more of he's a skill set player. He has very high level skill set. The footwork is impeccable to go with the handwork. So he knows what he's doing, but the Mavs are going to need Kristaps to stay more healthy this season or next season. I mean, we're going to need him to be more reliable defensively. And I think the combo, I see the vision. Now, the vision needs to stay healthy. And being available is also is part of the requirement of being a superstar. We can't keep harping on Kristaps or Porzingis' talent and say, oh, dude, the worst thing as an athlete you want to hear, in my opinion, is when he's healthy.
Yeah. All right.
I mean, no one knows what you could do. Everybody's like, when he's healthy, it's like you're teasing people. It's like Grant Hill.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Grant. I fucked with you.
On that. So I think I'm one of those people, and maybe this is just from talking with annoying Knicks fans too much over the season, but I'm of the belief that Kristaps Porzingis, hoping for a full healthy, throughout the whole duration of the season, him being healthy and playing every game might be kind of a risky hope to have, but rather the better route to go is just to assume that he's going to play maybe 60 games a season, maybe half to 2/3 of a season, and then make sure he's fully activated for the playoffs. Because I think that he would have continued
Kawhi playing
playoff series if it was playoffs that we actually had a chance of true contention in. He would have continued playing through because he was still at a very high level. However, with that, obviously, we're going to need something more. If we're going to need another number two, either a 2A ahead of KP or a 2B.
Yes, because what's his name? Hardaway is not going to cut it. I'm sorry, unfortunately.
So here's my question.
Tim Hardaway's he's not even a better version of Wesley Matthews.
I cannot wait to get rid of him and his $20 million. But here's my question. Hardaway, but a way better version of him, is someone that we pursued last summer in free agency in Kemba Walker. And there were a lot of questions around that at the time, thinking that Kimba's style of play and Luka's style of play kind of cannibalize each other, and that it wouldn't make much sense to have them on the floor together. But the more I saw them in this playoffs, the idea of having a second ball handler would take so much pressure off of him. It sounds like it
Well,
looks like
Luka, see, no, I don't think so. Luka is a point guard, so you cannot bring in a second. What we need is we either got to start Curry or get a better, more reliable. You know the guy Joe Harris that plays for the Net?
yeah,
He is going to be perfect for Luka. Someone like that, because someone who could take the shots, who doesn't need to create, or like the guy who plays for the Jazz now, but he's no longer he's injured. What's his name? Forgot his name. Can never pronounce his name.
Conley.
But he's a sharpshooter. What we need now is shooters, and we need enforcers. We need like a Tyson Chandler. If we could get somebody like that, if JaVale McGee is free after this year, we should get a JaVale McGee. I feel like him and Luka would do excellent together. You know, we just need talented defenders with wingspan. The team is transitioning to a lot. I like Finley. I like Gilchrist. I like Burke. You know, I just don't like those guys need to play their role, but you're forcing them to play a role they're not ready for.
Yeah.
So it's just,
What about
and this is not football.
What about Dwight Powell? Because
He's been injured.
yeah, he's been injured, but he's going to come back at some point next year.
Okay, you come back, you pay him with someone like McGee. But Dwight Howard is not an enforcer. Again, we need an enforcer.
Dwight Powell.
I mean, Dwight Powell is not an enforcer. We need an enforcer. I'm sorry about that.
Yeah. And Kleba, it's weird that I get a little bit of, because Maxi Kleba, he's from the same town as Dirk Nowitzki.
Doesn't matter. He's not the same person.
Like he has the same
from the same town
on the court of just being like, it seems like everybody from Wurzburg is a bit too soft, even though Kleba is very good at D. For so many years of Dirk's career, we were trying to push him and prod him, like in the playoffs, we need you to be more of an asshole. We need you to be more of a hard ass people and go harder. And it took him a while for him to get into that, to get his hardcore mode like that. I hope Kleba can learn to be an asshole too. We'll see.
He needs to be a bench player, and he needs to come from the bench, and he needs to be part of the second unit, and which is what it's kind of he does now. But he needs to like really be there so he could find a role in that place. Like we got to stop tittering and bringing people up and down, and like we need a solid starting five. And I think going into this year they have a base, which they lacked the last 3-4 years prior to Luka coming. So now that we know we have a base, thank God for that trade. What was that point guard we traded away? Dennis Smith Jr. I like you, Dennis. I think you're a legit dude, but bro, you're not making it in Dallas.
We also gave up 2 first-round draft picks
for Luka.
No, for KP.
I think that's. You know what? I think he's worth it. But I feel like we just need to keep him healthier.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's what matters.
Yeah. I had one last question on the Mavs before we move on to the rest of the NBA. And you mentioned earlier that you thought Carlisle was a much better coach this year than he has been in the past few years. You think that's true, or it's just he finally has more talent that he used to have in Arhaden?
Well, some coaches, right, do not know how to work with untalented players. They need either really smart players or talented players. Some coaches know how to work with, like, I call it like they galvanize people, right? They galvanize people. They get people to do the best in themselves. They're like, you don't have to be smart, but they know, okay, this person ain't smart, but this person could do this really well. I know how to use them, right? Carlisle is one of those guys, for better or for worse, he needs a high NBA IQ team. If your team likes high NBA IQ or your player likes high NBA IQ, he does not know how to use them. Like, if for some reason he cannot communicate past a certain level. Some coaches, it doesn't matter what level that player is. Like, JaVale McGee is an example. For a long time in the league, everybody thought he was a bust. But really, all it came down to was communication. The way he communicated and all the coaches communicated with him was different and more efficient than the way the previous coaches have communicated with him. Same thing goes to football. Everybody's like, why is Bill Belichick the GOAT? Because Big Belichick could take a regular player that does one thing well, see it, and then make sure and knows how to use that. You don't have to be the smartest player in the room. You just have to know what your job is, right?
Good job.
Rick Kyler doesn't know how to do that stuff. He needs you to not just know what your job is, but to know what the fuck everybody else's job is in the team. He
Gotcha.
requires everybody to kind of be in sync. And for a coach like that, it takes a while for you to kind of build the skill set and the people with the mental capacity to understand, because he teaches one language. He's not going to change his language. He knows he has a championship, so he's always going to be in Dallas. So now you got to bring in people who are willing to go understand that language you're going to teach, you know? And now I feel like he has those people around him. With Luka being the base and being a prodigy and being the kind of guy, like he has his Dirk, the guy that is not going to try to insult his coach, the guy that is not going to, the guy that says, okay, this is my coach, I'm going to ride with the coach. And we know Kyle like a coach. He just needs the right, just like when he had Jason Kidd. Everybody was like, why did he win a championship with Jason Kidd? It's really because of his intellect level. That's why Avery Johnson, he doesn't do well with high intellect players, because for lack of a better word, they don't vibe with him. He does better with guys he could galvanize, guys he could lead, in the sense of like being a leader, a natural born leader, not a technical. Like, I'm not like saying, oh, Avery Johnson, he's not a technical coach. You could tell he's not a Doc Rivers. Doc Rivers is a technical coach. You know, he's going to come up with scheme and plays, but you never heard anybody say, oh, Avery Johnson that was a great play, Avery. Avery Johnson reminds me of Mark Jackson. Those kind of guys, they're leaders.
Yeah.
You know, till today, Steph Curry loves Mark Jackson. You know, they're leaders of men. But like when it came to the court, you're like, dude, that person, like you didn't call that. Like you know what I'm saying? You're like, what are you thinking about? You're not worried about that with Kyle. You're not worried about that with like the guy from Miami. What's his name?
Coach Spo.
You're not worried about that with the guy from New York. I mean, the guy from Toronto. You know, Thibodeau is another one of those leader coach. He's not a technical coach. That's why New York is going to fail because they need a technical coach. You know, they don't need someone who could lead men, and his leadership style don't work no more. I don't know how Thibodeau. I'm sorry I jumped into subject, but I'm still baffled as to how he's getting contracts on contracts. He's like the Sam Bradford of the NBA for coaches. Like, he's rich off of not paying for nothing. He doesn't bring nothing. He creates chaos. He went to Timberwolves and did worse for them than they did in how many years. Traded out key assets, left. They still owe him money, and then got another contract with New York.
Yeah.
Like he just knows. He knows what. Like he just knows off of stuff he did in Chicago with Derrick Rose.
Never
a prodigy.
And you'll win a bunch of regular season games. These will come down, but you had one quick hit on the Knicks and the Mavs though. Is that and this is one of the weirdest things about our season is that back last fall, almost a year ago, in a span of about a week, we played the Knicks twice and lost both of them. And the Knicks, because they're so obsessed with KP, it's so weird. It's almost like hooking up with someone new, like having a new fling, and then their ex is calling you, trying to tell you that this girl you're hooking up with sucks. You're like, who the fuck are you? Like, why do you care what we're doing? That's what Knicks fans were like with KP being so obsessed with trying to tell us we suck. So they beat us twice last fall, and they were celebrating like they won the NBA Finals. KP sucks chance in the Madison Square Garden. But it actually cost them, if you believe that the NBA lottery is not rigged, and that's a whole other conversation. But if they had those two extra losses and the lottery balls fell the same, the Knicks would have a top 3 pick. And we probably would have had the 7 or 6 seed. And if there's one do-over on both sides between the Mavs and the Knicks, it's not the trade, but it's those 2 games last fall. Like they should have taken those games. That was lose.
Well, the NBA is still going on. Jamal Murray from the Denver's going to the Game 7 with the Jazz. I think came in the Spider-Man. What's his name? What's that guy's name? Donovan Mitchell. I think there's a hell of a matchup. I can't wait for OKC. If OKC was to beat the Houston Rockets, that'd be an upset, but I don't think that would happen. You know, I think
Utah. Who's gonna win that Game 7?
I don't know. They have they have Spider-Man. They have Jamal Murray. They have no kids. the Joker. They have players. Like, it's gonna be an exciting game. I can't tell you, but like, if I'm taking the better's choice, I'm gonna take somebody who I feel like is ready for the big time, and I think this is Jamal Murray's time. He reminds me a lot of Dame.
Yeah.
So I think this is his time. I think Donovan Mitchell still hates Gobert and wants him gone.
Yeah.
So
That makes sense.
Donovan Mitchell is still in his feelings. I think Gobert give him AIDS or something.
Bias when he doesn't make the All-Star game, and then he gives everyone on the team Corona and shuts down the season, costs everybody a bunch of money. I would have some bad blood too. I'll have some bad
So
blood too.
I think that's still going. That Dan Snyder, another great coach in the league. I think he's gonna have his team ready to go. But that guy that coaches, what's his name? The Denver Nuggets. He's a really good coach. They sleep on him a lot, but I think he's a really really good coach. I can't remember his name right now, but
Michael
we
Malone.
have Google.
You,
Mike Malone. Yeah,
right?
I was gonna say we have Google it, guys.
Boogie loved him, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Transitioning to a different sport because 10 days from now, the NFL is back. I don't know if you saw college football was back this Friday, this Saturday.
On NFL. Before we talk about anything NFL, there's something I think this is in the back of every NFL fan's minds, and it's something that everyone secretly kind of understands, but we don't want to talk about it because it would ruin a lot of fun of the season. But is it even going to be a contest for a while with the Chiefs being so good and so young that I feel like they're just going to destroy everybody, and the rest of the league is kind of a battle for second place. So I really,
I
really,
don't think so. I don't think so. I do not think so. I think you have to understand how the league works. Even the Patriots on the years to the championship, they had close games. Football is like life. Anything could happen on any given day. Now you're not playing a best of 7 like the NBA. You're not playing the best of 3 or best of 2. You're not playing the best of on baseball. This is about any given Sunday. So I think I'll be very disappointed because I think the NFL in the last year or so, the players are kind of gotten, no, not last year, but like the last 7 or 8 years, the players are pretty much the same level. Now you're looking at organization, you're looking at coaches, you're looking at tactics, you're looking at people using analytics. So the game has expanded beyond just players because now you could go to any school, you have the same strength conditioning program. Now it comes down to do you have a great coach? You know what I'm saying? That's why coaches are changing often now because people have the players.
ever.
So I think Andy Reid won with this model this year, but everybody seems to forget Andy Reid has been running this model since he had Donovan McNabb.
Yeah, and it was awesome with them. He was
Exactly, but he's won one championship in all those years.
a team that had choking in their blood, and then Donovan McNabb started throwing up in the Super Bowl. Then they got T.O. and he tore the team apart. But those teams, that my adolescence, Andy Reid was in my nightmares every night. He was so dominant up till the end of those seasons. But like there was that year Donovan McNabb got hurt, and they started Corey Detmer. Who's that like third?
The guy from Houston, the guy that went to Houston that actually got a big contract afterwards. What's his name? He got rich but never played it down. What's that guy's name?
Corey Detmer was the first. Was the first guy to replace McNabb. Then he got injured, and then they put in a third string backup. And I want to say his name was
He
Felix.
went to Houston. I know he went to U of H. That's what I can remember about him. But it's kind of funny though, But I don't think Kansas City has this in the bag. I really don't. I think it's going to be more competitive than most people want to admit, and
Okay.
I think it's going to be fun.
Well,
I think Cowboys are legit. I honestly believe CD Lamb, and I honestly believe Dak Prescott is legit. Carson Wentz is the truth. The Eagles are the truth. Carson Wentz could carry a team by himself. That's one difference between him and Dak Prescott. Carson Wentz will carry a team. Dak Prescott cannot carry a team.
if he's healthy athlete, because Carson Wentz, interesting story happening in Philly last week is this was after their left tackle had a bicep injury and is out for the season. But Carson Wentz left with some sore muscles or whatever.
Soft tissue muscles.
Jalen
Soft
Hurts
tissue
comes
injury.
in. Jalen Hurts comes in, throws a pick. Jalen Rager, that rookie from TCU, tries to make a tackle, injures his wrist on it, and Philly looks snake bitten again. I'm loving that.
Well, Philly has a good team, so we don't want to count them out. We want to make sure that you just kind of know that like they will bounce back. They're trying to build a program there similar to what you have in similar to what you have in New England, similar to what you have in Kansas City. So I think similar to what you have with the Cowboys too. So I do think that they're going to have staying power. I think the coaches there are solid, So I just think this season is going to be challenging and different for a lot of reasons. So obviously, COVID being one of them, lack of fans and lack of preparation and all that kind of stuff. So we're going to see how it plays out. But I'm very excited. 10 days from now, we're going to get the NFL. And hey, let's go. Let's go. CeeDee Lamb is about to show the world why what I don't understand till today is why CeeDee dropped to 17.
Yeah, that's a good question. Well, I think that okay. So there's a few reasons.
It's just like the Luka question to me.
So first of all, it was one of those deals where there were several good. There was like 6 really good receivers, or like first round graded receivers in the draft, and a lot of the top teams that needed receivers assumed that because it was so deep that they didn't need to go early with receivers because they could get good players later. All right, and then there was one team that took a receiver ahead of us. All right, and this is
Denver took one.
There was 2. There was Jerry Jeudy, but that one was like people were expecting. Okay, Broncos take Jerry Jeudy over CeeDee Lamb. That's not surprising. What was surprising was the Raiders taking that other Alabama receiver, Henry Ruggs, and I think that this was collusion. And I'm okay with it. I think the Raiders, they're basically a puppet organization of the Cowboys. Jerry Jones and Al Davis were very good friends. Mark Davis is the least rich owner of the NFL and he got a lot of help from Jerry Jones in getting the money for that stadium. It was Jerry Jones's architecture firm that built that stadium. Jason Witten just went over there. There seems to be a lot of like, it's kind of like with the MLS.
Do you think Jason Witten is going to end up being like an executive for the Raiders?
Yeah.
Or like a coach in training? Is that what's happening right now? We talk about this Jerry Jones saying, hey, guess what, guys? Las Vegas is a new hub. We're going to have a lot of betting going on there. We're going to have a lot of money. We're going to have a lot of high-end stuff. We need to entrench ourselves here. Jason, your time here is up, guy. I'm sending you on a mission.
Yeah.
Go to Oakland and make them Las Vegas team. And Jason is like, thank you, sir. Thank you for this opportunity. I'm going to go. Maybe Des Bryant will be next. You never know. But you're right. You're right. They are close. I do remember reading an article in ESPN when the whole deal went down, talking about how Jerry was in the mayor's office and told the mayor that, hey, this is going to happen already. Like before they even voted on it. So Jerry's a magician. No one doubts that. Jerry has bigger problem in his hands with his anti-protest, anti-fluffy, whatever he's trying to masquerade. I think that will backfire on him if he's not careful, especially in this culture. So I do think Jerry needs to understand that he's not going to live forever, and he needs to pass down that torch and let the world be what these young people want the world to be, not what you think it should be, because you're already old. And Jerry's not going to last another 10, 15 years. That's the truth.
That's true. I mean, I hope not. It actually scares me that he can live forever.
It would surprise me too.
Yeah.
It would surprise me. Jerry does not look like, for some reason I feel like Jerry has 6 packs and like muscles up there under those tailored suit.
Yeah.
Him and Kraft.
Yeah. 5 years ago, he sounded like he was having dementia. There were sound bites of him going all over the place. And now he's like magically sounding like a normal person again. It was like this 1 year long deal where he sounded like he had dementia. And he was talking about Randy Gregory. This is like scrubbed from the internet, but he was like saying Randy Gregory could get away with stuff at Nebraska that he's not going to be able to get away with at the NFL. And then he called Nebraska Mars University. And he was just saying a bunch of really weird stuff that year. And now he's
the drugs, his medications.
Yeah, I worry about the advance in medication, the advance in healthcare that will keep Jerry Jones alive for too long. Yeah.
You know what? We shouldn't talk about people dying or people passing away. Jerry has given us the Cowboys and he gives us endless entertainment to our life here in America. So
These Super Bowls.
go
He
Jerry. But I just know that maybe he has a Super Bowl curse. Maybe that's the curse he's paying
he
this
made
whole
a
time.
deal with the devil, and we were born in the wrong year to enjoy all of the fruits of that deal. So I hope that deal expired in 2020, and it's possible it could have. Maybe he was just what. That's why he was waiting so long to fire Jason Garrett, because the devil told him this team was cursed until 2020 when
I wonder if he's gonna keep Dak. I wonder if Dak is setting up to leave.
Dak, he's one of our own. He was a Cowboys fan growing up. He's from the Shreveport area. He's from Cowboys country. And I mean, you saw what his brother said. His brother was like, fuck the Cowboys when they franchised him and didn't extend him. But I know in Dak Prescott's heart of hearts, this is his lifelong dream to be a quarterback. This is the market, besides arguably maybe New York, where you can make the most money off the field by being a quarterback here as opposed to elsewhere. And with that position, the difference is pretty significant. It's like NBA level where you play in this market, you get way more than you play in this market. So I hope that works out in our favor. It also, with Dak Prescott's contract, it could also be sort of a under the table handshake where if Dak Prescott he plays on the franchise tag and then gets a new contract, assuming that the salary cap doesn't go down. If he gets a new contract at market rate, he will actually earn a lot more money by playing 1 year under franchise tag than he would have signing the contract right now. It's just a little bit riskier. If the Jones family said, hey, we want to pay you this much, but we would not be able to take the PR of having this like ultra record setting contract for Dak, like we can give you it's $32 million that he's playing this year. We can give that this year, then we can give more
That was
next
37 this year.
installments.
I thought it was 37 this year.
Something like that, yeah. 30 something. But
Well,
it's a lot. It's only gonna get more.
what should we delve into next?
Yeah, so
There's a lot going on. I don't wanna take too long on too many topics. I know people actually have things to do with their life.
yeah, it was a historic weekend
It
in
was.
with the boycott, and I was really interested in hearing your perspective on that because I think it matters more than my perspective.
Uh, well, I probably would not have the most popular opinion. I do understand the need to protest. I do understand the need to let your voice be heard. I understand all that. I also understand the anger and the fact that you feel like you can't do nothing, but you want to do something, and this is how you do it. I get that. I understand all that stuff. It's not hard to understand where people are coming from. Even if someone was to get arrested, or even if someone was to do something bad, people, yes, people have to let this sink in. Imagine just getting stopped by the cops. You have no weapon in your hand. What happened to shooting somebody one time on the leg so they can't walk, or shooting them? What happened to all that? Like you would think, okay, let me disarm this person. If I shoot him on the leg, then he's like, maybe at least they could bandage his leg, but I could aim for there. If I shoot him, but what makes you think that shooting him 7 times in the back?
It's because
Like,
it's in their
I,
manuals. It's in the manuals of the Kenosha, Wisconsin Police Department that
I
we have to follow this protocol or we're gonna die as cops.
no, it's not that. He was turning behind you. So if he didn't have no gun, if you shot him once, maybe he had, but 7 times, I'm surprised the dude is alive.
Yeah.
I really am. I'm like, dude, you must be strong because they tased you twice, they shot you 7 times, and you in the back, and you still alive. That's amazing. But I think in general, what NBA players have to do is, and LeBron James is already doing it. I think he has a great template. Is that you have to become more organized. You have to make this. This is not I protest today and then tomorrow I don't do nothing, or I protest to like protesting at your job that pays you $1 million make no sense to me. the NBA owners are not the reason that guy got shot 7 times. The
Right.
reason he got shot 7 times is and the reason he's not going, the cops are not in jail is the DA. Is the DAs who are making this decision. If the DA decides to prosecute those people, who's going to say the DA not, So
Right.
if the DAs are not prosecuting them, then you need to vote and get DAs in there who are going to do this prosecution. Not all cops are bad. I know that. I have a lot of cop friends. You're going to need cops. Everybody knows that. But at the same time, you also have to speak for what is right or wrong, regardless of, this is not a race thing to me. This is just a wrong or right thing. It
Right.
just happened to be that, not that it just happened to be, it is what it is. It just, the reality of America is that just more black people get shot more than white people. That's just the reality here. But does that make it any, if more white people were shot more than black people, would that make that good? No. So we should just call it wrong. We shouldn't associate color with it. We
Right.
should just say this is not the right way to do things. This is not the right way to resolve a situation.
Right.
As a society, there's so many mixed kids, son. Like, white dudes are fucking black girls are fucking white dudes, black dudes are fucking white girls. Excuse my language, but like, all them kids nowadays are not, nobody's white or black anymore. That's just our reality, and we got to stop associating. We got to now shift from race-based topics to right or wrong. Is
Great.
this right? If this was Steven and Steven had a sister, yeah, you have a deadbeat brother that's not cool, that doesn't have a job, that didn't go to school, whatever, that is always fighting with his girlfriends. If you call the cops on them, should that person be shot 7 times? You know what I'm saying? So take away the race. If you read this on a paper, it's not right. And if you told that, and to me, I don't feel like anybody in America I don't feel like a segment of America should be protected from the law. That to me is just, there's something weird about that. What are you protecting them for? They're supposed to be upholding the law. So you're protecting them from the law they're supposed to be upholding? That makes no sense. You know what I'm saying? So you should really look into that whole protectionism stuff. Or like, anybody who is doing public service, even more so, should be more scrutinized than people who are not doing public service. Because you have all these agencies, all this stuff out here to scrutinize in the private individual, but yet they don't have the same accountability for people who are in charge of the public people. So I think we just have to really think about our approach to governing and get people in there, not only through education, but also through humane practices, and saying, hey, this is right or this is wrong. This has nothing to do with, you make it what it is. America is a history that has a racist history, unfortunately. Is it more racist now than it was back then? No, obviously not. But are they segment of society, and are they structures that were created that were never truly reformed? Yes. One being in the school system, being at the job. All those jobs, like all those jobs nowadays that come out and say, oh, we're going to hire more black people. Oh, there was not enough black people on the board. Facebook don't have enough black people on the board because most of the black folks don't know how to code.
Right. It needs to start with
Yeah, you got to start somewhere. Like, if I didn't know you, it's not like I'm having the same conversation when we're talking about business and stocks and all that. I wasn't having that conversation with my black friends. I tried to most of the time, but most of the time they didn't know. Right. So, and that's just the reality of it. So if you're hiring somebody, I would like to think that, hey, Steven will give me a shot because Steven knows I know that stuff, and he knows it because we've interacted together. Right. But if I don't know that stuff and I come out from the street, most likely you're going to hire your friend that you were a frat in or you went to school with, because I don't think you're a racist person. But if that just happened to be other people you know, that just happened to be other people you know. And most of the time in life, you're not going to go outside of that. I'm not saying you shouldn't try to find talent. Me, I believe that talent comes from different cultures and different people, and I try to represent that. That's my belief. But there's a lot of people who are successful, doing things a different way. So do I think Black America, we need to fix the laws? Yes, but I don't want it to be a rising culture things where everything now becomes about race. You know what I'm saying? Everything now becomes white or black. You don't have enough black people. Then what is enough black people? Tell me.
What's enough black people?
Yeah, like, you know what I'm saying? Or like the NFL, that's weird because it's made up of mostly black folks. So they have a system there. They need to fix that system because it kind of looks weird, Most of those companies, like, if you cater to a black culture or you cater to black, it would make sense to you to have more black people there. But if you don't, then you have a stigma or belief that maybe you got to figure out yourself. But when it comes to this whole thing, I want us to focus on the law. I feel like that's where we need to fix the injustice. And when it comes to businesses, when it comes to companies, I honestly want black folks. If you're a black basketball player, invest in that kid who has that business idea. Give him that $2 million to start him up. Set him up with a lawyer. Help him get seed funding. You know, because that's what those white people are doing for their white friends. So, like, if you're a basketball player, they will tell you. I remember I was in Tulane, and there was one weekend that this guy, I forgot his name, had a fundraiser to buy a building on Ferret Street, and he raised all that money from his friends, all his frat friends. He was like KA. He was KA. So he raised all that money from all his frat friends that weekend from their parents. You know, they did that for him. So, like, we in the black community also need to take ownership of our. It's going to be hard. It's not going to be easy. Most of the people you're dealing with are not even going to know that what they're doing is wrong. I don't think Mark Zuckerberg sat down and was like, yeah, I'm not going to hire any black people. I just don't believe that. I don't think that's who he is as a person, or I don't, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. But I can't blame him that he went to Harvard and everybody he knows. I can't blame him for that. Or like where he grew up in the circle. It's just like, think about basketball. And you think about basketball, we as black people have monopoly in that sport. Imagine, why don't we have more white people in our team? Why don't we go search out the white guy who could shoot? We don't, do we? You know what I'm saying? So it goes both ways in society and as human beings, but what we need to do is make sure the systems are fair. And we have to make sure that we as human beings seek out diversity and change. But I also know that's hard for a lot of people. And a lot of people don't. By the time you got to take care of your kids, you got to pay bills, you got to worry about being good, being a good. By the time you have to deal about all that and then try to pay attention to what color someone's skin is, like, life is so complicated. I'm not saying we couldn't do it, but I just think we shouldn't get into this council culture, this culture of everything becoming, you know. I think we should just stick to the facts. You shot a girl, she was innocent, you go to jail. I want that. You know what I'm saying? You did this. It doesn't matter if you're this or this, you're going to jail. You killed somebody unjustly, go to jail. But I don't want us to be looking at someone's board and saying, oh, they don't have enough black people, they're racist. Great. You know, we need to, that you're not going to get the best product in life. So what do you want Facebook to do? They hire black folks, and that black folks, sometimes they're not prepared for the position. They haven't been trained like they come. So you put them in a disadvantage.
Kind of like how the MLB has tried trials of setting up programs in inner cities to try to get the black community more interested in baseball and more interested in playing baseball. I think after hearing what you said, an action step for Facebook would be getting to elementary schools and setting up like STEM programs for underprivileged communities to try to teach those skills to more than just the kids with rich parents.
Exactly. And I think that's really where it's going to start. If you do more of that, then you will have more. So if I know about stocks, like now the stock is like the rave in the black community, right? A lot of my black friends were talking about stocks now. Dude, I was talking about stocks back when I was in flipping college. I was talking about stocks when I was in high school. But I knew because I grew up in Frisco. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I learned all that stuff. So like I was just a product of my environment. So we need to focus, like you said, more effort in changing our environment, our upbringing, and making it more diverse. You know, not just black centered, but yeah, know about money, know about financial management, know about IT, know about tech. We've been talking about, I graduated from college and I was talking about stocks with you. So you know what I'm saying? So now everybody's like day trading, or they have day trading teams, or they have all that stuff. And I'm like, dude, you guys are so behind. Like, I've done that. Like, I don't want to do that no more. So it's just, and I think that's really what it is, because then it's like, you think about it too. You be like, oh, snap. So, and I think about it sometimes, and I'm like, I also notice a lot of the people who are of color that tend to get out and make it in the business world are the ones that their parents put them in a different situation growing up. And we need to have more of those situations. I need to have, like, Frisco didn't have a lot of black people there. If you ain't playing sports, There weren't kids like me who were black, who just didn't play sports, who just went to school. You know what I'm saying? Like we were just nerds. There weren't a lot of black kids of that ilk. If you weren't playing sports or rapping, it's like you really couldn't be a black kid. You were weird as fuck. So like we need to change that. And I think that starts like that. Education, STEM programs, just diversity, going to different things, trying different things, but it also starts with family stability and the parents knowing that their kids need those things and being there. So I think, but in terms of law and order and justice, I just think it just needs to be equal. If someone does bad, call a spade a spade. So call an apple an apple. Don't try to flip it or make it something else. If a law is outdated and is not serving the community that's supposed to protect, call it that. So I think that's really what needs to happen. Is someone calling you?
Yeah, don't worry about it. Put it away. All right. That was really well said though. Really enjoyed it. If you want to end this with some sports quick hits, I've got several items, and we don't have to banter on them or anything. It's just some nuggets that I needed to get off my mind about some of the ancillary sports like hockey.
We're gonna call this.
Let's call it
Steven Mind Dump.
Steven Mind Dump. All right, let's go. Steven
Rapid fire. This is how Steven takes his shit. Just rapid.
Yeah.
Gross, but go ahead.
All right. Starting now, we're gonna start with hockey. The Dallas Stars absolutely killing it. It may be the year 2020. It may not be the greatest years for parties, but we are basically within the Final Four right now, one game away. We win a couple more series, we could have a party like it's 1999 again, just like when the Stars last won their Stanley Cup. And I have never felt as good about our prospects for winning that since 1999. And
how old were you, Steven, in 1999? 12 years old?
In a hockey game, at the end, they have the 3 stars of game. I'm going to give 3 quick, 3-star points of the Stars postseason so far. Point number 1, one thing I've really loved is the throwback nature of the way they're playing. And when I say that, I mean putting problem players on the other team into the training room and out of the series. In the very first game of our postseason, or the real postseason against the Flames, the first shift of the Calgary Flames captain, Matthew Tkachuk, who I name Kachump because of this, he took a dive. He faked getting hit, took a dive, got a power play. The Flames scored on that. They ended up winning because of that goal. And it really pissed everybody off. And the Stars, the very next game, they got to business to resolving it. The very first shift of the game for our captain, Jamie Benn, lined up across from Tkachuk on a faceoff, speared him in the leg, took him out of the series. He didn't play again the rest of the series. That's an alternate captain for Calgary that was out. They severely missed him. We overpowered them. We won 4-2 in the series, on to the next round. Game 1 and round 2, there's another alternate captain, a defenseman for Colorado. His name's Eric Johnson. Now, he didn't necessarily do anything wrong, but this was a series where Colorado was so good, we couldn't wait for them to do something wrong to get pissed and take them out. One of our players took Eric Johnson to the training room within 10 minutes of the game. He has not returned in the series. We are up 3-1. The next opponent will probably be the Vegas Golden Knights. They have one alternate captain. His name's Mark Stone. He's got a target on his back. He better be on watch. His postseason is probably ending next week. Looking forward to that. Star point number 2. These next 2 will be really quick. We have a defenseman. His name's Miro Heiskanen. It's not quite fair to say he's the Luka of the NHL because there's no other Luka. But if Luka didn't exist, Miro Heiskanen would be the Donovan Mitchell of the NFL. He's really, really good.
NHL.
Have the 2 best young players in both basketball and hockey. That's awesome for us. And star point number 3, we got 2 players over the offseason, Corey Perry and Joe Pavelski. They're really old, used to be really good in their primes for rival teams. They are ages 36 and 35, respectively. And this postseason, they're playing as good as they were in their primes. They're killing it. And it's awesome. And there's a ton of other awesome things I want to say about the Stars, but I know nobody cares about other people's hockey teams, so we'll just move on. The Texas Rangers, I know nobody really cares about them that much, but a couple weeks ago, we were in the news. You remember that Fernando Tatis hitting a grand slam with 3-0 count, running up the score, and it causing like a brawl, all that. You remember that, Michael?
No, I don't.
Well, we were we were like in the national news for baseball of like unwritten rules category, and everyone hated the Rangers for a bit. And so for those Rangers haters, I can say that you should be happy that we went into that game 10-10 and in playoff position. Um, Fernando Tatis hit that grand slam, and the very next 3 consecutive games, San Diego hit grand slams against us, called themselves Slam Diego. And since then, we've gone 2-11. We're now 12-21, one of the worst teams in the league. And we couldn't even trade our best players today at the trade deadline. And so everyone can make fun of the Rangers. So there's not much to watch for Texas Rangers, but in baseball, I have 2 other loves that I'm following. One is an old love, Yu Darvish, our best ever pitcher. His preseason Cy Young odds were 25-1.
He's been a beast.
He is probably gonna win it. And bro, if he wins that Cy Young, let me just put it this way: drinks are on me for a while. He had 1 bad game in his very first start, but since then there's been.
I watched 1 game. He's been dealing.
I got some stats for you. In these past 6 starts, he's pitched 39 total innings. They've all been of either 6 innings or 7 innings. He's had a .923 ERA. He's had a 13.5 strikeouts per 9 innings, and he's given up 8 total walks in 39 innings. He's striking everybody out, and nobody's scoring. He's going to win the Cy Young, and we are going to ball out because of it. And then the last thing with baseball. So Yu Darvish, he's my old love. I also have a new love. It's the Miami Marlins. And there's a name that you should keep your eyes and ears out on the watch and listen for. His name is Sixto Sanchez. Have you heard of it?
I've seen him. Yeah.
He is the real deal. He is fucking awesome.
He's fun.
He had his second start, and this was his first full start on Friday against the Rays, who, by the way, are 4 games ahead of the Yankees for first place in the AL East. They're really good. He went 7 innings, got 10 strikeouts. Those 10 strikeouts came in the first 5 innings. In those 7 innings, he did not give up 1 fly ball. 0 fly balls over 7 innings of work for this guy in his first full start against a really good team. Awesome. I really love him. His stuff is amazing. He has a 100-mile-per-hour fastball, which I refer to as fireballs, because if you throw 100 miles per hour or more, it's not a fastball, it's a fireball in my book. So he's got that fastball, but he's also got this strikeout pitch, the pitch that he most strikeouts. It's a changeup. It goes 92 miles per hour, and then once it gets to the plate, it drops.
That's why he don't have a lot of fly balls.
Swing and miss, swing and miss. He's so awesome. I'm falling in love with this dude. He's got the awesome name, Sixto Sanchez, 4 syllables, 4 S's. I'm a big fan of alliteration, and very good job on his parents for getting him a name like that you just can't go around in life without having a bunch of swagger. Right. Alliterative of a name. Keep your eyes out for this guy. He's going to make some noise.
I got you.
One more quick hit related to Miami. Have you heard of Inter Miami?
No.
No? Okay, so they're a brand new sports team, but you will have heard of them by the time our lives over, etc. Because by the time that point comes, this team will be the most famous team in the world. Because they're a soccer team, they're an MLS team. They are founded.
Oh, that's the one David Beckham was trying to start.
David Beckham. And because of his connections, well, first of all, Europeans, they all want to move to Miami. They all love Miami. But then there's the David Beckham connection, and he just signed a player that he was teammates with in 2013 in Paris. They're boys. This guy's he's from France. His name is Blaise Matuidi. And he was a starter for France in the World Cup a couple of years ago. and he was a starter for an Italian team in Turin that has won the past 9 Italian Serie A.
Series championship.
Yeah, he's a starter for these awesome teams, and he's coming over to Miami, and he took like a really, really low salary to help us out with these complicated MLS rules. He's basically playing for free to live in Miami and be with his boy David Beckham again. And there's more coming. We've got a contract offer out to a guy in Barcelona. This team, they got their very first franchise win last weekend. Watch out for them. You said you were a stock guy earlier. That means you're a big buy low, sell high guy. Buy low with some emotional investment and Inter Miami. They're going to be really cool.
I love that. I love how we ended that. I love how we wrapped it back to the stocks. Well, guys, it's been fun hanging out with you guys on this Monday. You know, stay cool. Steve, stay sunny out there. Dude, I'm out here in Texas. This shit is just whack. It's hot. It's dry. I need a beach in my life. But you know what? To then,
preseason usually, but
you know,
now
smoke some, drink some. You know, just live life, son. It's just 2020. If we make it past 2020, we're just going we're going to rage all 21 because, you know, 2020 is what I call the year of Darwin. You know, it's natural selection. So if you survive the year of Darwin, then I think you should give yourself a pat on the back. But till next time, guys, we're not gonna be gone too long. We'll try to hit you back up next week with some interesting tidbits. Close to the football season, close to the college football starting. You know, it's COVID, so it's not gonna feel normal. Who knows who's gonna be a champion or not? But hope to see you back next week, son.
All
Steven,
right.
it's been fun. I got to go to the store. I'm hungry. I think I'm going to go to Chick-fil-A and go to Walmart. But I'll talk to you later. Bye, guys. Bye, Dallas, San Antonio, Houston.